the idea that you can have a Jewish homeland with respect to the rights of the Palestinians was not the plan of the Zionists, and it's not the way it's being implemented here at all.
Welcome to another episode of Some Secular Jewish Comedian Makes Israel Look So Divisive. It adds to the narrative of all the extremists on the other side who just want to kill us more. Thank you, comedian Dave Smith. You need to talk. You got to come for a Shabbat dinner. Sing a little bit, have some challah, learn some deep Torahs, get into your spiritual side, because clearly you either are not really Jewish, don't care about it, or you have something that happened in your past that was so painful that you just don't want to look at the good that Judaism, beauty that Israel has given to the world. You just don't want to look at it. You're like, just stay in the diaspora. We don't actually need a homeland.
It's not as if Jews have been like behaving and getting along with the British Empire, but the Arabs are a thorn in their side. They're dealing with violence all around. The Balfour Declaration clearly has not worked at all.
Zionist plan all along was to create an exclusivist state at the expense of the people who were already there.
Yeah.
Jews and the Arabs in that region are all doing the exact same amount of violence. Is that really true? There are approximately 2 million non-Jewish Arabs living in Israel proper today. They have health care, they have insurance, they are able to work and vote, even run for office in the government. Do you see coexistence? Is that happening in any other place surrounding Israel right now?
If the problem is just radical Islam, there's a big issue that Israel has had peace with Egypt since the 1970s. Israel has had peace with Saudi Arabia, peace with Jordan. Issues that Israel has been in southern Lebanon with Hezbollah, in Gaza, Hamas, and with years ago, some terrorists in the West Bank.
Do you realize that you just proved the point that you're trying to disprove? Egypt and with Saudi Arabia, the people who are running those two countries are moderate enough that we could make a cold peace with them, which we have to a very large extent. And other than you mentioned, the jihadists, Hezbollah, people in the West Bank who are jihadists, they are all representative of extreme Islam.
All the areas that they occupied.
All the other areas that they occupied, there may be, settlers here and there that are trying to live there, but if we occupied them, then we wouldn't have this issue. I can criticize some of the settlers. Why are you making waves? I get that. Holiest place in Israel is the Temple Mount. We don't even own it. It belongs right now to the people who the Romans called the Palestinians, and we don't have access to it.
It's the other narrative that Ben Shapiro types say all the time is, we offered them everything. We offered them everything they wanted and they said no, which just on the face of it should sound a little ridiculous to you.
Does it sound ridiculous? Well, what would you call it? Have you actually looked at Oslo Accords? Did you look at the minutes of the meetings when Bill Clinton himself threw up his hands and was like, we have really tried and you still won't take it. You won't take any pieces of Israel. You just want the whole thing.
I'm pretty well read in it, but going back and reading like early Zionist writings, in a sense, you got to tip your hat to them.
Them? You keep saying them a lot. If you really are Jewish, why do you keep saying them, those people, Israel, they? It's us, dude. And by the way, if you have a lot to criticize, you might as well just join a synagogue, go to Israel, make some actual waves. If you're claiming to be Jewish, then the responsibility is partly on you too. Get involved, be part of the community. I'd love to hear from you, and I'd really love to see you dance on Friday night at our synagogue. I think your soul could really use it.
On this, and particularly with Israel, where, as much as I may disagree with some of their, policy toward the Palestinians and stuff, they did this thing that is just insane. This was just a group of radical young 20-something-year-old Jews in Eastern Europe who are like, hey, we're going to start a new country in our Bible's Holy Land. And they did it. You are, Theodore. Yeah, you're going to go conquer Palestine where you've never been.
I'm going to ask God to forgive you for saying that, because it undermines not only who we are, what our great-grandparents believed in and worked for. I'm sure you didn't mean it, but I want you to really think about it tonight before you go to bed. Maybe you say the bedtime Shema and ask God, please forgive me for harming anyone intentionally or unintentionally with the words and the actions that I took by saying things like this over and over again, because there are going to be people, really evil people, that hear that sentence and go, you see, he's right. The Jewish people are divided over this. Zionism does mean exclusive, and we turn our noses up at everyone, and we don't want civility and democracy for all people. Thank you, comedian Dave Smith, for making us know, the evil people that believe this, that we are right. Congratulations. You made the problem worse. The problem with Dave Smith, there were always Jews in the land. In fact, the government, the flag, currency that was in Israel, it always had Jewish symbols on it. Hebrew. Maybe you should look into some of the history, because it sounds like you think that Jews only got there in 1948 and that Zionism was created in the late 1800s. I guess you really haven't read the Bible, but that's okay. I'm happy to hang out with you. You seem really funny, and there's a lot of good things that you say. If you really cared about your children, which you say that you do.
My kids are growing up in this country.
Yes.
I care about it more than I've ever cared about anything else in the world. That's the most important thing, is where my kids are growing up. Like, what life are they going to have?
From the future, you may want to make sure that you're still alive, because if you're claiming to be Jewish, and you're going to be searched for if these people take over. And I don't know if you saw this, but college anti-Semitism that you are fanning the flames of because of what you're saying about Zionism, that's becoming pretty rampant. And if you want your kids to succeed in America, they're going to be working most likely for people who graduate from these universities. I get that you probably don't want to send your kids to college here, which is fine. But if they want to go to college, or if they want to work for people who are going to be the future of this great American land that you so want to put first, because you say America first.
And I thought the whole America First movement was kind of about, like, shouldn't our government be primarily concerned with what's best for our country? Can we at least have a conversation maybe before we just give a blank check to level Gaza?
You might want to secure or ensure the fact that they're going to be able to be here because they come from Jewish blood. That would only be allowed to live in Israel should, God forbid, the shit come down.